Hey guys, Razorblade Mango here, and today I want to talk about the Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy remaster, published by Activision, developed by Vicarious Visions, available right now only on the PlayStation 4 at $40. Got it Thursday night, or Thursday, June 29th. 9 p.m. Pre-ordered it digitally. I'll always disclose when I pre-order something or how I get it. And I've been playing it off and on since then. And I feel now I'm finally comfortable talking about how I feel overall about this package. And I guess I'll start by saying that Vicarious Visions really have remained faithful to the original 3 Crash Bandicoots. If you guys were worried that they were going to make this more easier, that they were going to dumb down the levels or something like that, no. This is the same Crash Bandicoot that you remember from back in the day. And I only played the first Crash Bandicoot in passing. I mostly played it at my aunt's house every so often, but I still have some fond memories of that game and Spyro the Dragon being my very first encounters with video games at the time. And I never played Cortex Strikes Back or Warped, so this is my first time going through those two. But I remember the first one, and I'm happy to say that even though I don't have a lot of big nostalgic feelings towards Crash Bandicoot, boy, is it nice to have him back on PlayStation 4. Even if you've never played any of these games, you have to understand that Crash Bandicoot is somewhat of a lost icon for PlayStation. He's not like Nathan Drake or Kratos or Sackboy or any of these recent guys that have high chances of them coming back, because their games are consecutively popular throughout the recent years. You got to remember that Crash Bandicoot hasn't had a proper game like this, or a proper good one like this, in ages. It's been a long time, and it makes me happy that he's finally back, that Activision finally is giving him his due. And from what I've heard already, this game is selling really well, which makes me happy. It was, I guess, the highest grossing game in June, and it was only out for a day and 3 hours in that month, and it just made a fuckload of money. And it's already kind of tough to find around, from what I understand from friends and looking it up online and all that good stuff. So it's doing well. And this is where I have to get critical about the Sane Trilogy. Now, I have very mixed, complicated feelings on it. And I guess I gotta be honest with you guys about this. I think, in terms of it being a package, I think, honestly, this is one of the best packages deals around. I think the way they've remastered all 3 of these games visually is very impressive. I think if you are a Crash Bandicoot fan, normally I save this bit for the end, but I'm going to start with this so you guys know where I'm coming from. If you are a big Crash Bandicoot fan, and you don't mind that they stick to the original design of all 3 games almost to a T, then you will not be bothered by this. And I think it's worth it. However, I think all 3 games suffer from similar problems in terms of them bringing their old school design into the modern age. And what Vicarious Visions have done is they've brought in the groundwork of games that were made back in the PlayStation 1 era. The games that were the testing ground for what to do and what not to do in these platformer, collectathon kind of games. The mascot era, so to speak. And it's kind of a weird, jarring effect to see these beautiful 1080p HD graphics come in and be so good, and then to have it be this wonky, weird, imprecise control scheme attached to it. And I remember the original Crash Bandicoot. I remember it being tough, but I don't remember it being so tough to the point where I would start to question whether it was the game or myself. And I knew back then, it was myself. I sucked at this game, but I was liking it. And I guess I wasn't wrong, because I've heard reports that this game has character models that really do fuck with the way Crash Bandicoot lands on things, the way he is able to interact with tight, like bare minimum corners of items for you to make precise jumping. And that to me is a potential game killer, because when you have a game like games like these, I have to talk about this plurally. When you have games like these, Crash 2, Warped, you have to have precise controls. You have to have tight, precise controls, or else it's going to be frustrating over and over and over again. And combine that with the fact that Vicarious Visions haven't really added in any ways to go in and wear your rose-tinted glasses. Like, if you want to go into this game and just experience the levels without any of the tight bullshit controls, or maybe add in infinite lives or something like that, there really isn't an option here. And I know that sounds like heresy for me to be advocating the ease of making these games, or supposedly dumbing these games down for a moderate audience. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking for are ways to accommodate the player that are not used to how brutally unforgiving these games could be back in the day. And for a child to come in and start playing these games and have it in their mind that they might potentially get turned off of video games if they aren't given some kind of other alternate options to where they can enjoy the game. Or even adults. Imagine if you were in your 50s when you first played these games, and now you're in your 70s and you're not as good at these games as you used to be. There really is not a suitable alternative to working around how punishingly difficult these were, and how precise you had to be in dealing with these new, rather imprecise controls. And that is a recipe for a lot of problems that I have with Crash Bandicoot. I've given up on trying to 100% the first one. I've given up on trying to 100% the second one. And already I can see problems with 3, especially when 3 has in this super, super annoying, you have to get first place in this race or you lose kind of thing. I hate it when any game does that. So that was an unpleasant shock to realize that was in this game, which kind of hampered my enjoyment of it just a little bit. But I just feel like there should be more options, or Vicarious Visions should have done a better job tightening up the controls of this game. Or maybe add in some extra platforming stuff. Take, for example, that fucking awful high road level back in the original Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, the option to cheat is still there. I'm not going to tell you how, but it is still there. But I feel like with the way that Crash Bandicoot handles in this game, how slippery edges can be, because he will slip off an edge that is a flat surface because of how wonky his hit detection is for the ground. There are moments where the animation will not register with the bugs coming in attacking him or the creatures attacking him, and that can prove to be frustrating. One of the levels that was driving me mad in Crash 2 is the level where you gotta deal with the bees, and you gotta constantly be running away from them, constantly be diving underground, and sometimes the level just is not precise enough for you to give a good visual feedback on how many spins you need in order to fend off the bee horde. It doesn't do that good of a job of telling you one way or another, and it just proves to be really frustrating. And there really isn't a lot to subside that. And I feel like Vicarious Visions should really have spent a little bit more time, or completely thrown out how Crash Bandicoot functions, like landing on hard surfaces, jumping, precise controls. Hell, having it be 60 frames per second would have helped as well. And I remember there being a 60 frames per second trailer when this came out at PlayStation Experience. That trailer, if you look at it right now on the PlayStation channel, if you look at it on the official Activision or Crash Bandicoot channel, it is rendered at 60 frames. And for it to come out at 30 on PS4 is it is disappointing. And I could have sworn it looked like 60 frames at PlayStation Experience. I could have sworn it did, but maybe that was just my eyes having some kind of placebo effect because I saw that from the trailer. I don't know. But it just adds up to little problems that Vicarious Vision creates for itself. You know, having it be 30, having wonky controls for when Crash Bandicoot lands or jumps, or imprecise tight controls, non-tight controls, and then combine that with the OG design of the original games, having no real innovation as to what to do with these remasters in terms of gameplay. Yes, they have done a remarkable job remastering this game visually. I love it. I love the new lighting. I love the new animations. I love the little details in the background. I love all that. I love that they don't fuck with the sound too much. It's still the same. It still sounds good. The voice acting has been completely redone, which I'm more than okay with. I think it sounds fine. But my big problem with this game are the controls. That is my biggest issue. Is it all bad? No. It's just select levels when you get in that big difficulty spikes that were there in the original games, combined with the new problems that Vicarious Visions brings in with the gameplay design. It's like the level design problems of the past colliding with the gameplay problems of the new remaster. And the physics problems as well, I should stress. Which is not particularly great in terms of experiencing my own personal enjoyment of the game. And again, Vicarious Visions haven't offered a workaround of it. There is no infinite lives thing. There is no way to skip levels if you are getting frustrated on one. It's like, hey, especially in the first Crash Bandicoot, if you want to get to your favorite level on the third island, good luck. You got to get through Sunset Vista, you got to get through Road to Nowhere, all that bullshit. So, you're fucked in that regard. So, it doesn't really feel like a very accommodating package in terms of bringing new people into Crash Bandicoot. I feel like this game, in its current state, was just designed right now for, like, the hardcore fans. The ones that are willing to put up, or practically embrace the blemishes of the past, because that's how they feel. That's how they felt when they first played it. And you know what? If they want to have that option, bless them. That should be an option in the game for you to experience it exactly the way it was. But the lack of any other options for people coming into this, I think, is a problem. And I have to look at it as a remaster of like 3-year-old games back from the 90s. Or, I'm sorry, 3 games, I said 3-year-old games. 3 games from the 90s being remade, remastered in 2017. And that's where I feel like Sane Trilogy falters. Now, I'll loop it back around again. I'll bring it full circle. Do I recommend Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy to people that are hardcore Crash Bandicoot fans that have no problem with this difficulty, that would call heresy on Vicarious Visions touching up any other aspect of the game that is not the visuals? Then yes, I would. Solid package, very damn solid. 3 games, 3 classics, so to speak, 3 PlayStation classics, so to speak, remastered for the first time on PlayStation 4 for $40. Absolutely, I would recommend it for you guys. But if you are somebody that does not like to deal with difficulty spikes like this, is feeling very weary of the old school design, I would wait I would honestly wait until Vicarious have possibly tweaked it to be better, to feel better, to have better hit detection for Crash, and for it to just play better overall. Or I would just wait for the PC version if they are going to make one. That I hope they make one, or that would justify why the fuck that trailer, that original trailer, was 60 frames. So I hope they're doing that, because that's, I think, would be the ultimate way to play it, 60 frames. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the Insane Trilogy, where I guess have spread heresy on what I believe to be a problematic remaster of the original titles. It needs more options to be more welcoming to people. It needs options like level skipping. It needs options like infinite lives to feel more enjoyable. And for the people out there that are going, no, fuck you, that's heresy, that's horrible, why would you do that? Well, suck it up. You don't have to play the game that way. You can play it however you want. I feel like Vicarious should have given you options to play however you want. That would be like starting this game and then there's no difficulty. There's no difficulty selector. It's just here. But that's the problem. This was a game made for that time that doesn't take into account new innovations brought to the platformer mascot era stuff. Oh well. It's still better than Ukulele, because Ukulele's a piece of shit. And I'd much rather be playing Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Blemishes and all. And I definitely don't regret my purchase. So I'll still be playing it. I just will not be playing it as obsessively as I had hoped. So would I guess I'll break it down like this. Would I recommend it if you're a hardcore Crash Bandicoot fan that doesn't mind dealing with the blemishes? Yes. Would I recommend it if you're anyone else? No, not right now. Wait until Vicarious have patched a little bit. So yeah, that is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, available right now on PlayStation 4. As always, thank you everyone for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the Insane Trilogy. If you've played it, if you're holding off on it, let me know. As always, thank you everyone for watching. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.